Hello, this is Catherine Dubberly, the Answer Lady. 1x1 ribbing, knit 1, purl 1 ribbing, is a standard hem for sweaters, hats, and all sorts of things. And it's very useful. It doesn't roll, it pulls in a little bit, it's nice and stable. And we normally knit it by knitting one stitch, then purling the next. But here's a way to get the same exact effect without purling any stitches while you're doing the actual knitting. Have a look. True ribbing is made up of knit stitches alternating with purl stitches, which if you look inside the work is what you'll see on this side. But I didn't knit any purl stitches. I made them all knit stitches, which is much faster. And I have reformed the ones on this side of the loom as knit stitches versus purl stitches. So now I'm going to show you how to do it on those that still need doing. We'll release it from its peg and do what you always think you don't want to do, ladder down. I knitted 8 rows, but I'm only going to ladder down for 7 because I don't want to get into the cast on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm going to pick up the first stitch, and this is called latching up. I'm going to use my crochet hook or a latch tool, grab a rung of the ladder, pull it through the existing stitch, grab a rung, pull it up, and so on, all the way up, and hang the final stitch on the same peg. So here's what we just did. Now it's knit stitch from the side you're looking at, purl from the other side. Skip a stitch and we need to do it again. I'm going to try this from several camera angles so that you get a better look at it. And here's angle number 2. There's a stitch we just reformed. There's the stitch we're going to leave alone. Here's the stitch we're going to drop. There's my stitch. Grab a rung, pull it through, grab and slide through, grab and slide through. If you made your stitching overly tight while knitting, this is very, very difficult. So you need to keep it moderate. And another one is completed. You can see them forming inside. You could use your regular loom tool to lift the stitch off if you wanted to. And if you look down, you may be able to spot the first stitch that we want and put your loom tool into it to hold it. Let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nope, we need to go one more. There we go. And latch up. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's drop this stitch, ladder down, we do have the right number. Now, why don't I want to get into the cast on? You can do so, but the cast on was E-wrapped, which is something we commonly do. And so if we ladder down to the cast on, we need to stick our tool into the E. And the E will quickly unwind. In fact, we'll go ahead and let it happen, and I'll show you. If we go all the way down, and I catch it here, I'm in good shape. And I stick my tool in. But if I miss it, it undid. And what you have to do then is twist it back. It's not a big deal. Now I'm going to do this one backwards so that it matches the rest of my work, because these were of course all knit stitches. Now that's a knit stitch again, and I'll latch up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and hang it on the peg. We only have this one and this one to go to make every other needle rib. So let's keep on and get this hat brim finished. It's going to look eventually just exactly the same as though we knitted and purled all the way around. So this is not in any way better. It doesn't make a different kind of hat. The reason to do it is if you just want a variety of ways to do things, or if, like me, you're not nuts about purling on the loom. The knit stitch is so simple and straightforward, and the purl stitch is a more complicated set of movements. And I'm not in love with it. I like the smooth rhythm of just knitting on around. And this allows me to do that and then create the ribbing and move on. Also, I think this is very even ribbing for me. I'm not saying you can't achieve even ribbing any other way, because you certainly can. But I do it more easily this way. There you go. I'm going to knit a few rows so the ribbing comes out the bottom and let you have a look. This is the way I'm doing my knit stitches. You can see why I like it. It's so smooth and quick. This would be a flat stitch, except that I'm exaggerating the movement of my tool just a little bit, which causes the yarn to make a good wrap around every peg and makes the sizing of the stitches a little bit looser than the true flat stitch is. And I find this stitch to be ideal for the purposes of making no purl ribbing. It reforms with just the right amount of elasticity, and it's easy to work. When you have some free time, I hope you will visit my website, theanswerlady.com, and go to the loom knitting pages. There I have some books for knitting frames and looms, and also a bunch of freebies for you to download. Of all the looms that I have, this is the most difficult one on which to do the no purl ribbing. And I showed you on this one, both to prove it can be done, and because this is the one that was free at the moment. And why is this one the most difficult? This small space between the rows of pegs. The all-in-one loom is quite similar to this one, but across each end its pegs count 5, so that gives me more working space. And of course a nifty knitter is round, so you've got tons of working space in there. I don't have any Cindy wood looms, but most of them also have more space involved. And a lot of the Kiss looms have a nice space in the middle when they're set up to knit in the round. So although I love this loom, this is a hard one to do the no purl ribbing on. And yet you see it still does work just fine. All of the blue is my new knitting above the ribbing. And now you can see the ribbing starting to come out and to pull in. And it's just totally normal 1x1 or knit purl ribbing, but we didn't actually knit any purl stitches.